Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Breaking Barriers Now. I am your host, Jody Watkins. And today I have my good friend here, TR Richardson.
That's me,
That's
everyone.
him.
I'm a good friend. I am here. Let's have some fun. Hello, world.
So, for everybody out there, this is actually the first in person that I've been able to do at this new brokerage that I'm at in an actual podcast studio. So I am super grateful and blessed to have this opportunity and to have someone close by that could actually come here because not everyone could. So this has actually been a blessing. So thank you for showing up.
Well, thank you for having me
It's
and
always the
inviting
best
me,
part.
Jody. Yeah,
You got
it
to show
is.
up,
It is.
right?
You got to show up
Just got
first.
to show
That's
up.
the first key. You got to be in the place.
You got to be in the place. Yeah. So we were actually connected through a mutual friend, and I am interested to learn more about TR today and allow him to share his story with the rest of you. So thank you for joining us for the podcast. Don't forget, go subscribe, share with your friends, share with everybody that you know out there that could utilize these stories, because the mission here is to save lives, and so that's what we're doing. One person at a time, one story at a time.
One story.
All right. So TR, thanks again for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, where you came from and
All right.
how you
Well,
got here. Loaded
okay.
question, right?
Loaded question. So we're going to blow it out a little bit because I will say that I came from the west side and got here by car, if we keep it
Yeah, there we
simple.
go.
But I get what you mean.
We already said we
So,
were going to be
mm,
laughing a lot today, you guys, so just hang on for the ride.
so I'm from Jacksonville, born and raised, and that's where we are right
We
now.
are in Jacksonville, Florida, yes.
Ironically, I never thought I'd be back here.
Oh my gosh, me
Never
either.
thought I'd be back here.
Me
I
either.
grew up here, born and raised, and went to school here. Got some opportunities to go to college down south, and went there, lived there for about 10 years. Came back here, and I don't know. It's something about the energy of the city. It's a little bit different now.
Yeah,
So I feel different. I'm a different person, and all those good things.
well,
So
that's a good thing, right?
it is a good thing.
Growth.
It is a good thing. Growth.
Growth is good.
If we're living, we're growing. So
Hopefully.
gotta keep going.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, right? Yeah,
That
hopefully
should be the goal.
it
Yes,
should
that
be.
should be the goal.
So I moved back here and started this training consulting business, Richwood International. We deliver value with our high impact performance development training and consulting. RichwoodInternational.com. We are easily located through our website, social media, all those different platforms, and that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years. And COVID, it changed a couple things,
Mm,
for us, as well as the entire world. We are a part of the planet, and changed some things. And one of the things that it changed was moving back to Jacksonville. Ironically, 2 weeks before this thing, COVID was a real thing. Didn't even know it, but just kind of moved back to Jacksonville and
hmm.
been here ever since.
Wow. So what does your company, I mean, you say consulting, so what does that actually involve? Because consulting can be a lot of different things, right?
It can be. It can be. So specifically, we do leadership and communication skills. We like to say that we focus on employee retention and understanding and implementation. So if you have a workforce, we do training. If small workforce, large workforce, medium size, we will do that. We will do training. We'll come in. We'll do curated, crafted trainings where we will develop a program through a training needs assessment that will do with you based off of your specific needs for you and your workforce and where you are and where you're going. Or if you have an existing training program and you need someone to make the information make sense, not someone to just read off of a slide and those different types of things, to where we actually aren't just having people attend and mark a checklist for attendance, but they're actually understanding and then ultimately implementing the information, which is what employers want at the end of the day, so that they have those motivated
Right.
and empowered workforces. Then you have someone like one of our trainers or myself that come in and provide that value for you. So we do that for the workforce, we do the training, we do for executive and leadership teams, the hire from the top down.
Nice.
We do coaching and consulting for them. And that is a little bit of what we call, play while you learn.
Mhm.
So we do coaching through our weekly or monthly coaching consulting uh, tracks, and we will do that on an hourly basis or however it is that, once again, when we do the training needs assessment based off of their needs, we'll create that for them. So
Wow.
it's been an interesting journey. We've worked with some of the biggest organizations, billion-dollar international conglomerates. I was just doing a training from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday night earlier this week. Uh,
Wow.
so in India, yeah,
Okay.
in
That
India,
makes
yeah,
sense.
we're there
Yes.
on a different time zone.
Yes.
We provide impact and value locally all over the nation, thanks to the internet and
Nice.
internationally as well.
Yeah. So when you were a kid, did you envision yourself doing that? Or what did
Mm,
you want to do? Do you
I
remember?
didn't know. So when I was younger, what I wanted to do was play in the NFL.
Okay.
I played football for probably 15, 16 years of my life, from little Pop Warner League, all those different types of things locally here and up through high school, all that stuff,
Mhm.
some college football as well. And along the way, I always knew that I would be involved in some kind of business. I just never knew what it was. At that time, I thought that I would have an occupation that would allow me so much money that I'd be able to invest in things
Mhm.
and all of that. But this way, I had to do it a little bit different. I had to actually find something that I like, find something that I enjoy, find something that I'm good at,
Yeah.
that I would actually probably do for free, in
Yeah.
another realm, not the one we live in,
Not the one that
not the
you
one
have
we
bills,
live in.
right?
Got
Yeah.
people to
I know.
standards of livings, expectations of me, all those different things, goals to accomplish,
Yeah.
impact to
Yeah.
achieve, all those different things. But really, truly something that I enjoy, something that allows me to scratch my itch of impact.
Yeah.
I love to impact people and empower them with the skills and the tools that they need to succeed. So this allows me to accomplish some personal goals, some professional goals, all those different things
Yeah.
as well along the way. Mhm.
So for everybody that knows me, you can see the alignment. So I keep getting aligned with these people.
Mm,
who-
we are stars.
We are on a mission.
We are stars and we
Yes.
are aligned.
Yes. So you talked a little bit in your story beforehand where, it's the lessons versus the losses
Mhm.
and how some people don't know the difference between the two. And that's something that I can definitely relate to as well. So go ahead and dive into that, and you can go as far back as you want, as far forward as
Mhm.
you want, but just, because this is a very important topic, because we
Mm,
all have losses. We all, but we can all use them as lessons, right?
we
So
can. Mm.
it's all about perspective and the choice.
So yeah, I could definitely touch on that a little bit. And you said it. Out of everything that I say, the big idea of it is exactly what Jody just said: perspective, mindset, how you look at things, and what you choose to do with that perspective once you have it. So I like to say, in life, you will have L's and M's, and it's up to you what the letters mean. Here's what I mean when I say that: perspective. Number one, L and M is just a letter of the alphabet.
Right.
They're a part of life. So if you use language, the English language, you're going to use L's and M's.
That is true.
But the perspective part comes in because you know how people say in life, oh, you're going to take L's. You're going to take an L.
Yeah.
In life, it's guaranteed you're going to take L. A couple things are guaranteed: taxes, death, and L's. But it's up to you what the letters mean. It's up to you what that L means, because the L could be a loss. It could be something that, based off of your perspective, you feel like you lost something and it was worthless.
Mm.
It's something that not only did you lose whatever it is that you lost, whoever it is that you lost, whatever that specific situation is, but you've lost the perspective to think that something can come out of it and it can actually
Hmm.
have value. And
That is
that's
true.
where the loss can be a lesson. Because a lot of times the difference between the two is not only your perspective, but what you do after that loss or that lesson.
Mm,
Because in life, the loss is when we fail or when we fall, excuse me.
that's, yeah,
You know,
the fall.
that's the fall.
Yeah, I always tell people you haven't failed unless you quit
Hmm.
completely.
That's when you ultimately it becomes a loss. But when you fall and you understand, just like in real life, when you fall, you don't stay on the ground.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, you don't stay
Hopefully
on
you
the
get back
ground.
up.
I hope that you are at least trying to get back up,
Hmm.
especially if you've fallen outside in the summertime in Florida, because the mosquitoes will be out
Even if you have to
when
crawl,
that
you
sun
guys.
goes down. Get up and get inside, please.
Yes,
But in
that's
real
good.
life, you got to get back up as well.
Yeah.
And I take that real concept and I contextualize it when I go through situations because I've got to get back up.
Hmm.
I've fallen. And the only way that I'll truly fail is if I don't get back up. And
Right.
that fall becomes the end. It becomes a period and not a comma.
Yeah.
When I fall, I try to make sure that I assess the situation so that that fall doesn't become a failure. And
Mm,
that loss, if I've lost something, whether it be time, resources, money, people, whatever it is, becomes a lesson for whatever I do when I get back up.
mm,
Because I'm going to keep moving.
right.
I'm going to adapt and overcome.
Have you always been like that?
I think lessons in life have made me that way.
Okay.
Going through obstacles, I went through a lot of things as a young person. And if I didn't continue to keep moving, if I let those situations affect me long term, I'm not saying that they didn't affect me.
Hmm.
Let me make that very, very clear.
Yeah.
They affected me. But I also got to a space where I said, I'm going to take charge of what happens next in my life. I'm not going to let what happened in my past dictate what happens in my future. I'm
Mm,
going to let what I do in my present dictate what happens in my future.
mm,
And that allowed me to be able to regain control because after a lot of those things, my life kind of began to spiral for a little
hmm.
bit. And I put myself into a lot of situations in a negative sense where I back myself into a corner. I was my own worst enemy. Out
Wow.
of everything that was going on that I was dealing with, the decisions that I was making based off of what happened, maybe I didn't have control, maybe I did, but the decisions that I did have control after whatever impacted me or affected me, after whatever impacts you or affects you, those are the decisions that I could control. And those are the ones that when I actually sat down and looked at my life introspectively, I made a choice of I'm not going to let what has happened to me impact what does happen to me.
Mm,
And I'm going to actually put some work into myself. Very important.
yes.
Self. I talked a lot about introspective and
Hmm.
mindset. Put that work into yourself. Make yourself whole first and then go out there and attack the world.
Yes. That's that's beautiful what you just said, first of all. And I can definitely say that that internal work has to happen. And, God bless you for doing it earlier in your life because it took me, I thought I was good. and then and then I was shown that I wasn't. And so here I am, in my 40s, but I will say this for anybody out there listening, it's never too late. If you're still living and breathing,
Mm,
it is never too late. So don't ever think back because at first that's kind of what got me like, man, I should have been, should have, could have, would have, whatever. Don't do that
mm,
because you can't go back. But like he's saying, it's the lessons
mhm,
that you
mhm,
learn.
mhm,
And, I say in my book, I say, I used to get mad when people would be like, everything happens for a reason. Well, now, in
mhm.
retrospect, it really has.
It
It
does.
really has. And
It
you guys,
does.
it's not going to quit happening. I mean, life doesn't just stop happening. But it's the perspective
Mhm,
that you look at it then where it's like, okay, is this happening to me or is this happening for me? And if you can shift it, if you can shift this to thinking about, okay, this could be happening for me, and just keep going,
Mm,
but that's the hard part.
it is.
What's for me, I talk a lot about the people around me now. That was huge for me because I didn't have the best people around me growing up and even in the military. And, so there might be one or two, but
Hmm.
now I'm very, very intentional about who I allow around me. How has that played in your life, the people around you?
People around me. Wow. There's a saying out there that says you are the average of the 3 or 4 people that you spend the most time with. Yeah,
That's what they say.
I used to think that I was above those types of sayings in my personal and professional life.
Okay.
I used to think that that's not true. I can make my own way.
Right.
But really, now that I understand the value of time the way that I do, and that it really truly is one of the only commodities that once you lose it, you cannot get it back.
Very true.
Once you spend it, if you waste it, you cannot earn it back.
Right.
It is lost. It is gone. You can't touch it again.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's,
five
I tell
seconds
people
that
it's
I
your
just spent
biggest
to tell
asset.
the 5 seconds that I
Yes.
just spent to tell that to you, I can't get it back.
Nope.
I could be doing something else right now. There's an opportunity cost for me to be sitting here at this podcast. There would be an opportunity cost if I didn't show up today.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't be doing this right now.
Right.
We couldn't be speaking to who we're speaking to, getting somebody to not just hear us, but listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I say all of that to say that when you understand who you spend your time with and how you spend that time, the quality of what you're doing, you really are the average of who you spend your time and what you spend your time doing.
Yes, you are.
Whether you want to accept that pronoun or that adjective or whatever
Yeah.
that means, whoever you are spending your time with, look at their lives
Yeah.
and ask yourself the hard question. Are their lives the way that you want your life to be? Or do you want something better?
Yes. And one of the things that I tell people too is I want to take everybody with me if they want to go. They have to want to go though.
Mm-hmm.
I used to try to pull people. And so that's a problem too because then they weigh you down. So you have to be very careful with that. Like I was weighed down for many, many years because I kept trying to pull people with me, but I can't
Hard.
pull. I
That's
can't
hard.
pull you if I'm already struggling internally, especially. And of course I didn't know that back then because I was too proud to really go there. But if I'm already struggling and then I'm trying to pull other people with me who don't really have the self-starting attitude to go, that's weighing me down. So what he's saying, you guys, take it in.
Stressful. That just sounds
Oh, and it
stressful.
was, and it led to depression and anxiety and overwhelm. And I mean, literally you can use all the adjectives there, but it, we have to really be careful. And so what he's saying here, grasp it, please, because it is so true. Now, I'm not saying I had someone ask me on another podcast that I was on, how did you get rid of people? I didn't. I just kept propelling myself forward. They naturally kind of fell off.
That's it.
I wasn't judging anyone. I wasn't,
That's
I
it.
wasn't trying to get rid of anyone. It's just not everybody's ready to go where you're going.
Oh, I think you just said it, Jody. Direction. Because in this life, to a certain extent, there are many ways that you could spend it. We live in the United States of America. Give or take however you feel about it. There are opportunities here that are not other places.
Exactly.
That's a fact. So, with that being said, there are a lot of ways that you can spend your time. You have more options than the average person on this blue marble that's slowly spinning as I speak here right now. But once you figure out your path, it's just like traveling. I love talking about this and equating it to travel. For anybody out there who loves to travel, one of the first things that you do when you are traveling is decide where you want to go.
Hmm.
You pick a destination. And in life, for all my goal setters out there, that's kind of like a destination when you set a goal, when
Mm-hmm.
you have a vision, when you have a dream that you want to accomplish. That's like a destination. And once you are aligned and you are locked in, like putting that destination in a GPS,
Mm-hmm.
and once it tells you a couple different routes, for all my GPS users out there,
I'm one.
whatever you use, if you use Waze, Google Maps, whatever you use
Google
out there,
Maps.
once you put it in there,
Uh-oh. All right,
well,
that's a whole nother conversation.
once you put it in there, and you pick your route.
Yeah.
Depending on what time of day, it'll give you the ETA, it'll give you the route, the little red here, a little orange here, a little yellow over
Mm-hmm.
here, and you pick your route. At that point, a lot of things are in play. At that
Mm-hmm.
point, just think about the route of the world. There are a lot of cars on the road while you're still choosing which way you want to go.
Mm.
And you could interact with a lot of those cars because you haven't picked your route yet.
Mm.
Once you press the button, you've now cut out all those other routes. You're no longer going to interact with those cars in the journey from getting to where you are to where you want to be.
That's good.
And once you start on that journey, even the cars that are along the way that are traveling the same route, they're not going to be at that specific destination in the route that you are unless they're the cars that are immediately around you that
Right.
you're traveling on in your route to getting from where you're at to where you want to be. And it's a similar concept in life. You haven't you haven't said, "Hey, other cars, get away from me." What you've done is you've figured out where you want to go.
Right.
You've figured out how you want to get there, what's best for you. And in that route, some people may go along with you. I know I've taken long road trips where I've looked over and I've seen a car, and 2 hours later I've looked over and
You've
I've
seen
seen
the
the
same
same
car,
car. I've seen
yeah.
the same car. So there are
That's
people like
funny.
that in your journey.
Yeah,
That
that's
take it
true.
away with you. There are
Yeah.
people that take it a portion with you. There are
Mm-hmm.
people who stop off at a rest stop and you never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to understand that that's the opportunity cost of your journey. And if you really want to get where you're going, you got to be okay paying that.
Mm. Mm.
You got to be okay paying that.
That's powerful. Yeah, one of the things I had to kind of realize in my own life, and I did have some assistance. I'm not gonna say I figured this out on my own. But I had a kind of an issue with uh releasing people because I always needed closure.
Mm,
When I was younger, there was a lot of people that, I lost along the way, and I didn't always have that closure. And for some reason in my adult life, I didn't even know that that was affecting me, but it was that closure. And so when I would lose a friend or, and that's just a friendship, not like death or anything like that, but just losing a friendship, it
mm,
was very difficult for me to let that go. And so I would prolong it more than I needed to, which would
mm.
also take a lot of energy out of me.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're carrying weight. You're
Yeah.
carrying weight on your
Carrying
journey,
weight. Yes.
because
Yes.
you've been riding with this person.
Mhm.
You've been riding with these people. You've been riding with the organization, whatever it is, whoever
Yes.
it is. And we're people. We're human. We're no matter how much we want to admit it or not, we're emotional creatures. There's
Mhm.
an aspect of emotion that we gravitate to. That
Mhm.
ask anybody in marketing, ask anybody who's ever watched a movie, no matter what genre that you like, or watch TV or any sort of entertainment. There's an emotional. If you've read a book, there's
Right.
an emotional aspect to the story. To that storyline. So we are people who get tied to that. And in the real world, when you take it off of the pages, when you take it off of the screen, and when it becomes real, you feel that when it comes time to break away from somebody in the journey to your destination, or break away from a certain place or
Mhm.
a certain organization, whatever it is. But at the same time, even though it may not be easy, at the end of the day, and when we blow out the concept of our journey, it becomes worth it. Because
Yes.
maybe that person, maybe that people, maybe those people, maybe that place was causing you to run in place.
Mm.
And you think that you're traveling. You think that you're getting somewhere,
Yeah.
but really you're just moving. A lot of motion, but you're not moving forward. And that's powerful once you realize that.
Definitely. Definitely. That was when I finally came to that realization, it was very powerful. And like I said, I did not do it alone. So I do always like to share the fact that, you guys look, if you're going through this life by yourself, you don't have to. Okay, there's other people who are willing to go on your journey with you. Like, did you have mentorship coming up?
I had people and I had resources that I could tap into, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. I want to say to anyone out there, just like Jody said, I'm just going to echo, find your people, find your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
If that tribe isn't your family or your friends or whoever you're connected to right now, then really look into yourself and ask yourself, what do you like?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to go? What type of person do you want to be? What type of life did you want to live?
Yeah.
And look for organizations, look for groups of people, look for those places that you can go and be around those different energies
Yes.
and allow that energy to bleed on you.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's something else that I talk about with people is, because this impacts a lot of people where, you expect your family to be your most supportive, or you suspect, your closest friends to be supportive of you as you're growing in your journey. Sometimes they are, but unfortunately, sometimes they're not. And, learning to get past that isn't always easy. But like he was saying, you find new people. Like when I moved back to Jacksonville, I could have went into a shell. I almost did, but I ended up going out and I started networking and I was like, well, I'm either gonna sit here and be depressed or I'm gonna try to meet new people,
You made a
and
choice.
so yeah, it's that power of choice, and
Wow.
we all have that power. We all have it.
We do. I think that that's powerful. Just talking about your story, just what you just said right now. You talked about being in a transitional period,
Mm-hmm.
moving. That alone, especially if you're moving from somewhere that you've lived your whole life, that alone, itself can be scary for
Mm-hmm.
anyone who's ever been through a transition like that. You talked about having the opportunity in that transition to
Mm-hmm.
lose yourself.
It was close. It
I
was
like to
close.
call those types of moments, I call it an apex moment.
Mm.
It's a fork in the road. It's one of those moments where you look back on your life and you see, if I would have made a decision, my life could have went left or my life could have went right based
Yeah.
off of the decision that you made at that very point in
Mm-hmm.
your life story.
Yeah.
That's what I call an apex moment. It's kind of like that fork in the road.
Mm-hmm.
But what you did at that moment was you made a choice. And in that making that choice, you took control of your journey and you took control of your destination.
Yeah.
And look at you now, still rolling along. Look at it.
Still plugging away. Well, you are too.
Mama,
And that's
we're
the
making
thing.
it.
Look, we have to keep going. Like every morning that I wake up, I'm like, okay, I'm here for a purpose. I may not know what that purpose is, but all I know is, okay, I'm grateful for being here. And now, Lord, guide me and let me impact as many people as possible today. Even if it's just one, that one person, if I can help them shift their perspective on something.
I think that's how it
Cool.
happens. I always say the journey to 1,000 miles starts with one step.
Amen to
One
that.
step, and then another
Yes.
one, and then another one, and another one,
Yep.
and another one.
Yeah.
But
And another one,
and
right? Like
another
every
one.
day there should be some kind of progress.
But I say all of that to say, in your journey, realizing that the destination will be there which is that purpose in relation to
Right.
what you're talking about. And not knowing it, sometimes it can feel as though I've got to find it out and then I can move forward.
Yeah.
But I think purpose is one of those things that in order to find it out, we truly got to live it out day in and day
And
out.
try new things. I mean, that's what I've done too, is just, I try new things and I kind of see where I fit in and maybe where I don't fit in. And then of course that's a choice too, where it's like, okay, well, if I don't fit in, I don't want to be miserable. I've done enough of that. So let me go where I do fit in, and then I also had to understand that I'm not really meant to fit in, right? Like we're meant to be different. We're meant to impact people differently.
I think so.
And so, when I say fit in, I don't mean it like trying to be like everybody else, because I've done enough of that too. It's more being yourself. And like you said earlier, finding your tribe. And one of my mentors says your vibe attracts your tribe. So what you put out is what you're going to get back.
Vibrations.
Now, if somebody told me that 20 some odd years ago,
they didn't give you the keys.
I never got the keys.
Why did they?
But
keep
I got
the
it
keys?
now.
They
you can't
kept the
take them away
keys.
from me now. Like those keys. Look, I wish you would try to take the keys out of my hand now.
Yeah, we got them now.
Worked too hard for that.
We got them now.
But yeah, so it's just, you said you had this dream of being an NFL football player. So what changed that? We're gonna backtrack. We're gonna go all the way back.
What changed that?
I'm asking this because I'm curious. I was an athlete too, and so I know what changed mine, but I want to know what changed yours.
Two things. In a nutshell, health and entitlement. Here's what I mean by that. Number one, when I got to college, I got sick unintentionally or unexpectedly, excuse me. And I had some health issues and it ended up impacting my season. And I continued to have those issues, and it was just best for my life to just move away from the game that I had played the majority of my life. Even at this point, I think it's just barely getting to not the majority of my life that I played football, just barely. But that was the health reason. And then now that I look back on my life, I was naturally gifted at that sport. I took that natural gift for granted.
Yeah.
And I could have put a lot more work and intention into it to make the natural gift that I had even better. Because it doesn't matter what you are born with. The more time you spend doing something, the better you get at it. The better you get at it. It's just one of those things that once again, time, you can't get it back. So once you've spent that time doing something, the way that the mind works, you develop those pathways in your mind. You have muscle memory. For anyone who's ever been driving and started thinking about something and looked up later and you're 5 miles down the road. Like I was looking at the road, but I wasn't. But I wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's because you
I arrived safely. That's all I know.
Yeah, I'm still safe.
I've definitely had those.
I'm good. We're safe. Destination. We're here, right?
We're here.
Talking about travel. But along that journey, what were we talking about? I forgot.
Travel.
I forgot for the first time.
We were talking about oh yeah. Well, yeah. What in the world? All right, you guys, look.
You got me. This is a real life moment.
This is a real life moment. You guys are witnessing.
You are witnessing
a real life moment where two grown people just completely lost their train of thought because we both went in a squirrel direction instead of the forward direction. So we were talking about what made you transition from football.
Yes.
No, I knew that the whole time, you guys. I just wanted to kind of play that out and see where it was going to go.
It resulted in sweat beads right here. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate it. But before I forget
again. That was your test for today.
As it relates to the entitlement part, I could have put more into the gift. I
Mm,
could have put more into that natural ability that I had, because that's one of the things that's made me excel in the business world now,
mm,
because I I don't think that I'm naturally gifted. Now I've been around business more than the average person growing up, so
mm-hmm,
that's one of the reasons why I always knew that I'd somehow find my way back to it. I just had to figure out what it would be in.
mm,
And now that I figured that out, we're locked and loaded.
nice.
But this isn't something that I just kind of woke up and did, how I would just wake up and go stretch and
Right.
become all First Coast with nothing, you know.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of kids out there who think that.
Yeah,
So
you
we have,
listen, please, kids out there, whether you're using sports or not, don't take it for granted.
yeah,
Don't take
yeah.
it for granted, and spend some time outside of the time that's required. This is the key,
Mm-hmm.
because you got to go to practice. You
Right.
got to do all those things. That's what that's the thing. That's what the average person who's playing that sport will
Mm-hmm.
do. If you have goals that are not what the average person it wants to do, which at your level, getting to a professional level or getting to a college level or making, getting from Pop Warner to making it first on the high school varsity
Mm-hmm.
team, whatever your goal is, getting there is going to require some things on your part. And if you don't want to be the average person, you're going to have to do something that the average person isn't doing. You're going to have to go above and beyond.
Yes.
So when you're not going above and beyond the average person to a certain aspect, your talent is only going to take you so far,
And that's so
because you're
true.
not going to develop the discipline.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, my
And that's
company
what
would
will
call
take
it's
you.
called To Be Epic, and our tagline is "Why be average when you can be epic?" You know, you want to
It's a
be
great question.
different. You want to be better.
Great question.
Unfortunately, we're coming up on our time. I don't want to stop this, but we're gonna do it again. He doesn't know that we're gonna do this again. Um,
Well, thank you.
but let's just. I wanted to get more into your story, but we'll do that at another time, I'm sure, and we'll make sure people know how to connect with you so they can learn more about you. But what would be like a closing thought? I know we've already given a ton of nuggets today, but what would be a good closing thought that you can, or that you might provide to other people when you're speaking?
Closing thought, or I guess closing sentence, if you will, to sum up everything that we kind of talked about today. Spend some time working on yourself.
Mm,
Figure out who you are and where you want to go,
yes.
how you want to get there,
Yeah.
what route you want to take, who you want to be involved on your journey, all of those different tangible and intangible things. And understand the one thing that I can say I learned from college, if I didn't learn anything else, which is that opportunity costs.
Mm, that's good.
Whatever you're using your opportunity for, it costs you because you're not
Something.
doing something else. And I'm
Right.
not talking about money. For example, right now, Jody and I are doing a podcast right now. That costs. It has
Mm-hmm.
positive and negative costs.
Right.
Maybe I can't do anything else right now because I'm here.
Right.
I'm literally paying that cost right now. But I'm also paying the cost of, we get to impact whoever this podcast is going to
Yeah.
impact. That's a cost as well. So
Yeah.
understand what those costs are,
Maybe
and
cost versus value.
cost versus value.
What's the
Yeah.
value of the
What's the
cost?
value? I think you hit it right on the head. Cost versus value. And once you understand that in a nutshell, you'll realize what you're willing to pay, how much of your time that you're willing to spend, and how much of it you are not willing to waste.
Mm, that is so good. You guys, this has been another episode of Breaking Barriers Now. I hate that we have to wrap this up, but we're going to have to. For today, this isn't the last time you're going to see this guy, I promise. But definitely, I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Share this with everybody you know. Share it with the kids that you know.
Share, share,
Share it with,
share,
I mean, I have a 12-year-old
share.
right now, and just share these things with these people and let them know how valuable time is. Because, like he said, we cannot get time back. That is our most valuable asset. We cannot get that back. So, why should we be wasting it Live your life.
Mm.
Make sure you guys go subscribe to the podcast, follow. Make sure you're checking out the YouTube channel, Jody Watkins Inspires. Everything I do is Jody Watkins Inspires, except for the name of this podcast, because we have to break these barriers to even be able to inspire anyone.
That's right. And you can find us, everything that we do, richwoodinternational.com, and on social media at Richwood Speaking.
Nice. All right, you guys, we're going to sign off for the day. Stay blessed and stay going forward. Have a great one.
Have a great one, everyone.